Welcome, good morning, and thank you for joining us for this webinar, the third in a series of such online events to be held this year in association with the IHEAN monthly magazine, Health Estate Journal, of which I'm the editor. On to the subject of today's webinar, and on hospital campuses and other healthcare facilities, it's never been more important to create a secure environment where assets and people are kept safe and the risk of contamination being spread is minimised. In this morning's webinar, titled Solving the Safety and Security Challenges of the Healthcare Industry, David McCord, Technical Sales Specialist at Tyco Johnson Controls, will present the latest technical advancements from the CEM Systems brand to explain how, as it puts it, it has capitalised on the latest advances in technology to deliver integrated access control solutions which give healthcare workers, patients and visitors peace of mind in knowing they're being kept safe and yet do not disrupt day-to-day activities in the process. The Tyco CEM Systems brand is perhaps best known within the aviation sector. However, as an access control and security management platform provider, it has a proven track record of delivering solutions tailored to other security-conscious vertical market sectors, such as data centers, education, utilities and healthcare. Our presenter, David McCord, is a technical sales specialist for CEM Systems, part of Tyco Security Products and Johnson Controls International. He is based at the CEM headquarters in Belfast, one of the global centres of excellence for Tyco, where all CEM products are developed and support is provided globally. During his 8 years to date with CEM, David has worked on many large projects within the UK aviation industry, critical national infrastructure and the private sector. As part of the sales team at CEM, he works directly with end users and integration partners to provide a complete security solution rather than just an access control system. In his current role, he provides pre-sales support to both new and existing customers by responding to technical tender specifications and providing in-depth demonstrations of the CEM solution. If you have any questions as David's presentation progresses, please use the sidebar to put them. At the conclusion of the address, David will do his best to answer as many as time allows. Over to you for the presentation, David.
Thanks, Jonathan. We're just the webcam enabled here to show we are actually live, so I'm just going to turn my webcam off and then we'll crack on with the presentation. So the theme for our presentation is around the healthcare sector and what we do as a solution provider to help go beyond the realms of traditional security, which can add additional benefits to healthcare campuses, as well as help save money by having a massive return on investment within an access control system. It's always one of those grudge purchases, do I need to have one? But with some of the features we have here and some of the smart applications that we're going to show, we're going to show you how we go on beyond security to help go into different areas and help tailor solutions specifically for the healthcare sector. As Jonathan said, we're CEM Systems. So if you don't know us, we're a UK manufacturer. We've been a manufacturer of access control systems for over 30 years. And the image you'll see on screen is our headquarters based in Belfast, and it's one of the main Tyco centres of excellence, and it houses both CEM Systems as our access control brand, as well as American Dynamics, our CCTV brand. All of our products are developed and manufactured within Belfast and around the Belfast area, and all of our support globally comes out from our Belfast headquarters. We've been developing access control, as it says there, for 30 years, where we started off in the aviation industry, and we've got over 90% of the major UK airports that we look after. And as these highly secure, mission critical environments are moving on with their security systems, we've seen that they can actually fit in to other vertical markets and sectors extremely well and provide a highly secure, innovative solution for security. Now, our system is called AC2000 or Access 2000, and it is a security management system. We manufacture both our hardware and our software in Belfast, and it's a fully feature-rich solution. So it is. So all of the software, works in tandem and in parallel with the actual hardware as well. So if we develop a specific feature or a smart application for one of our intelligent readers, which you're going to see shortly, that'll work in harmony with the software and provide two-way bi-directional feedback, not just at the screen on the reader at the door to give meaningful feedback, but you'll also get that directly on the software where operators will be actually using the system day in, day out. One of the main products that we have, which goes beyond the security, would be Emerald. Now, Emerald is our touchscreen intelligent access terminal. It's a combination of a card reader, a door controller, an intercom device. It's got a pin, a keypad available as well. It's got an interactive touch screen, so you can actually scramble the keypad and the pin. So if you want to add higher security, you can initiate calls by touching on the screen, similar to your phone, to talk with different intercom systems. And it's also got remote applications as well, because everything these days has apps. Now phones have taken off. We've got our own dedicated apps built within the actual Emerald. And it's more along the lines of the smart applications that I'm going to go show shortly, which makes it go beyond security. And one of the key features that we have for the healthcare vertical that you'll see in a lot of our products is that it's PoE focused. So that's that it's powered over the Ethernet using a single network cable. Especially in a lot of the healthcare sites that we have currently, they've gone with PoE solutions. So that means you don't have to have a few spur, you don't have to have electrical contractors coming in, putting dust in certain sensitive areas. It can be powered via network cable provided by the IT team directly. So this can also provide power to any of the third-party equipment that you have surrounding the door, such as a sounder, a strobe light, an electric door, any types of switches as well. So one of the good features we have in the Emerald is an adverts or almost an information screen. So with this, you can have up to 7 different adverts or images being passed throughout the screen at any one time. And as you would place one of these intelligent readers at a specific key point in the hospital, it can actually flash up and say, have you washed your hands? Have you associating with a 2-meter social distancing as part of the COVID-19 restrictions? We can put anything you want, and these can appear in different sequences in different areas. So for example, if you're going into a lab, you could just have a little reminder coming up on the screen saying, have you decontaminated the area after use? It's simple things like this that make the Emerald a lot more accessible, and it's meaningful feedback as well. Not just that we can display different images and information on the screen, but as users actually operate the terminal and they swipe their card, if you have a traditional reader and it goes orange, what does orange mean? Nobody knows. But on the Emerald terminal, if you swipe a card and it's expired, it'll tell you that it's expired. If you're trying to access an area where you don't have access, it'll tell you you don't have access, you're in the wrong zone. Or if I'm trying to go into an area which is through time locks and different intrusion detection systems that say you're trying to access this in the wrong time zone, and it'll actually deny you access and give you that feedback. When you receive that feedback as well, we can also use the inbuilt intercom system that's on the Emerald terminal as well. So what this will do is this will allow you to initiate a call directly from the door to an operator who could be sitting at a workstation PC, and it's full 2-way communications. With this as well, we can also link it to integrated CCTV systems, so you can actually see the person on screen in real time. You could even track them as they move their journey from one door to another. With this as well, it's all about cost reduction and cost savings. So with this, it's a single cable, again, powering the Emerald via PoE. You don't have to have a dedicated intercom system at every door, and you will be able to record the conversation that happened over the call initiation as well, and we'll be able to recall that back and listen to it. One of the other big features is that it can be integrated in to other third-party intercom systems such as Command and Stentaphone, and this makes it go another step further. So it'll allow us to support call forwarding. So for example, if you want to initiate a call and someone doesn't answer, it will then redirect to another station, and it can also be used to forward directly to desk phones as well, and there'll be specific desk phones to the Command and Stentaphone systems. We can also then support extension dialing. So if you see someone on a CCTV system as you're monitoring them as they go through the hospital, you can actually dial the extension of the terminal and speak to them straight away without them having to initiate the call. The smart applications that we have, we're going to show shortly, is along the lines of health and safety and messaging. So access controls as standard will give you an access level to say which areas you're allowed to access, what time you're allowed to access those levels. There's not really many additional checks. However, with the Emerald, because it's an intelligent platform with a touch screen, we can pretty much make it do whatever we want. And within this case, we call this checklists. So what we can do is we can ask a series of questions that have to be answered positively before you enter an area. So some of the examples you see on screen are you wearing a face mask? And are you wearing safety boots, safety goggles? You can ask up to 6 of these in certain areas. I wouldn't ask 6 if it's a high throughput areas. It may create a traffic jam, but where we do put these are in key points within areas. A great example we have is whenever someone's going into an IT server room and there's an Emerald that's on the door, and it simply asks one simple question, and that's, have you disabled the gas suppression system? And the lever to turn it off is right beside the operator. So it's not just there for enforcing different criteria before you go into an area, it can be also used for a safety approach as well. All of the responses you'll see on screen, the tick and the cross do appear in a random location, so we can't have someone just simply tapping yes, yes, yes. And we do also record the responses as well, so we can see which ones people have failed at. So if we want to run back and look at reports or review CCTV footage. All of the graphics you'll see as well are fully customizable. You can have different questions at different terminals set throughout the campus, and your text is fully customizable. It's free text as well, and it's really easy to configure through a simple web page. Another layer we have on top of our standard access levels and time zones is multi-date check. This is more along the lines of compliance. So what we've done on a lot of sites is we've put in Emeralds, and as staff and contractors are coming into the area, in the background as they swipe their card in real time, it will check to see if they have the correct competencies in order to perform their day-to-day tasks and do their job. For example, have they performed, they've got their health and safety certificate, have they performed a staff induction, have they got security clearance, for example. And all of these questions, all these checkpoints in the system are checked in real time. There's no delay to the actual process of going through the door. If, for example, someone doesn't have a valid reason to go through, their certificate has expired, it will give you the option to grant access with an orange message. You can actually see what the orange means. And it will also give you the ability to deny access to the area as well. Some of the examples we have is, does the contractor have a valid permit to work? And that can be across the entire company for that contractor, or you can have it on an individual basis. There is a site we have that actually performs up to 26 checks prior to going through a certain area, and all of this is performed in real time. The way we have our system as well, it's extremely intelligent because this information can be input manually, or what we can do is we can import it through our different integration tools, such as our API or our XML interface. And this will allow all of this information to be taken from a central repository and automatically imported into the system, as well as all the user information. So it's about making the system as streamlined as possible. Another great feature we have is local access. This is one of the remote applications that's built within the Emerald terminal. It's very popular in healthcare. The example I have on screen is where it's used by doctors and junior doctors. And what this will do is this will allow an individual who has the appropriate permissions to grant additional access rights to somebody else. So, for example, if a doctor is leaving the site and the junior doctor doesn't have access to a medicine store, for example, or somewhere they need to be, the doctor can take their card, look at the number, put the number in, and give them access until they return if they're going to another area in the hospital or another site, for example. And this will actually help reduce the overall labor-intensive activity of searching for someone's record by going to an HR team or even the pass management office and actually giving them their extra access. This can be done at the door, so it's intelligence directly at the edge. All of this is checkpointed as well, so I can't just select any random card and give whatever access I want. There's a web page that will configure this, and each individual user can have specific access to it and only can give access for certain periods of time. In today's modern world, we have a real emphasis on first responders and emergency personnel. So with this, we've got an emergency responders feature built in within AC2000, not just the software, but we've got it built into the hardware as well. So on each personnel record, we can identify someone as, for example, an emergency first responder, a fire marshal, a first aider, for example. And what we can do is we can actually track to see how many of each individual first responder group is within a certain site. We can get this information through our Zone Monitor application, which will monitor which people are in certain areas. You can actually view it directly on the Emerald Intelligent Terminal through one of the remote applications. And it's also available on our Security Hub platform, which is our front end for alarm management and different events as they happen in real time on the system. This can, again, could be automatically imported through an interface such as the API, where we can identify each one of these individuals, and it will actually update in real time as they move throughout the campus or even onto a different site, should it be a trust-wide deployment that wants to be going live and have that view overall. We also have room booking. Now, room booking is normally what people would have dedicated towards meeting rooms. So the bane of everyone's life is whenever they go into a meeting room and someone has overstayed their welcome or they've gone into the room when they haven't booked it. So we've taken this approach and looked at it. Well, how can we use an access control system to help save costs, have a single credential, such as your access control card, and also allow people to book rooms, not just meeting rooms. We've a couple of deployments in this where we're using it actually in hospitals to book a restroom for doctors who have been on long shifts, or even appointment rooms for doctors and consultants who are coming in for the day. This can be done centrally. Some sites have central booking platforms that will work through Microsoft Exchange, and our system will integrate directly with Exchange and take those bookings and book those rooms. So how it works is you would have one of the Emerald terminals. Big benefit as well is it's a PoE plus terminal, a single network cable. You put it on the meeting room door, and it will actually show you in real time if the room's available. It'll be green. If it's booked, it'll show you that it's a blue screen, and it'll also tell you, who's booked it, how long they've booked it for, when it's available to. And as well, with the information shown on the screen, I can either book it through my room booking system, through Microsoft Exchange, or I can book it directly at the door by using my access control card. So I can have an instant meeting. I can go up to the reader, have an instant meeting, swipe my card, and that will book my room. It'll show it both on the Emerald terminal as well as Microsoft Exchange through Outlook, and it will also show it on our Security Hub platform, which is our front end. So if you want to have somebody watching to see which rooms are available, you'll have this real-time update and notification. Some of the features that will set this apart is not just using one access control card for booking your rooms, but also that there's no annual cost for this. It's a part of our software, the same as the other features you see. None of these are licensed features or checkpointed. They're all part of our overall solution and system whenever you deploy one of our intelligent readers. And other features we have available is that we can actually use the reader to control access to the door. So for example, if I only want the consultant who the room has been booked for to have access to that room during the time it's booked, only they will have access. Nobody else will be able to gain access to that room. So it's additional checks we have, giving the access control twist on a room booking platform that sets it apart. The Emerald Terminal can also be used for time and attendance. So we have a time and attendance feature available in it as well. So it'll give you two options. If you're wanting to swipe in or swipe out, we can use this for recording staff, which can then send information to the payroll system automatically. It can be used for contractor sign-in. So as contractors come into the building, we have a great feature called Swipe Invoked Access, which won't allow access to the entire campus unless somebody swipes on a particular trigger reader. It will also act as two key points, so it'll actually register them in the system so that you'll be able to see they are actually on site and the contractor has been there, and it'll also add them to the muster emergency roll call as well. So if we want to evacuate, we can actually see which people are on site. With this as well, it'll talk directly to our TimeHub application I'm going to show a little bit later on in our software, and you'll be able to have it customized with different options. So you'll see that we can actually choose which options are available. So you'll have multiple options, not just in and out, but you could say, I'm coming in for a business meeting, I'm coming in for an appointment, I'm leaving to go to a private appointment, I'm going to a scheduled appointment for a patient, for example, and you can customize these different options, and these can all be reported back both into our software and then onto if you want to have a payroll system or another piece of software monitoring the actual swipes and time and attendance. The Emerald Terminal also comes in a biometric form. So we've got the Emerald Biometric Reader. So this will give two-factor authentication to certain areas. You can have it in multiple different modes. So you can have a card and a biometric, or you can have a card and a PIN and a biometric, depending on the type of security level you want to have at that door. It's a high-resolution optical scanner, so it has a method of reading. If you don't have good fingerprints, it will actually be able to pick you up. It works on a one-to-one basis, so it matches the card with the fingerprint in real time. It can be used outside, and it's also a large offline database as well. The same as all of our readers. Our system is all about redundancy. Some of the sites that we're installed in, it's all about high uptime. If you want to have multiple site deployments, if you want to have it in any of the particular high security sites we have within the critical national infrastructure, it's all about system uptime. And that's something we're very proud of, and the different levels of redundancy we have throughout the system. So for example, if the entire site goes dark, all power's down, we can run off backup batteries, and all the large offline database on both our controllers and our intelligent readers will still allow people access in through the door. One of the most important things on the access control system is the cards. We're all about high security. We've been doing in high security cards for many, many years now, and it's pictures like the one you'll see on screen. This was actually taken in London outside a shoe repair shop. So they can repair your shoes, they can cut keys for your house, and they can also clone your access control cards as well. Not only is this a real issue for people who want to keep backups of their access control cards, it's also a security threat as well. So if you find a card in the street, it'll normally tell you exactly where that person works as well as their name and their position. So what we do is we can have high secure cards. They use different methods of encryption. Our system is fully encrypted end to end, all the way from the card to the reader, and from the reader to the controller, and from the controller all the way back to the server. The way we do the encryption on our cards means that each card is unique. So If someone manages to crack the encryption keys for AES, which is one of the government standards, they'll be doing really well, but they will never be able to duplicate that card and replicate it on our system. One of the big benefits of this is there's no cost differential between our high security cards or unsecure cards as well. It's something that we do as standard. The keys can be managed by us directly, so you'll have unique keys guaranteed. We also work with a lot of third parties that you'll see in the next slide as well to share encryption keys. So it's not just a secure read on all of our equipment manufactured by CM Systems, but we work closely with other third parties under NDA to share our encryption keys. So this can be from normal card readers that you would put on the door, biometric readers, hand scanners such as the MorphoWave you'll see on screen, or even 3D face readers. All we can share the keys, and it'll be a secure read no matter which piece of equipment you're using, and that forms part of the overall solution. We're not just a access control manufacturer who provides a reader and a controller. It's part of the overall solution. If you want to have ANPR, you can have ANPR all linked into the same system, linked to the same personnel record. If you want to use a different biometric, you can use a different biometric. If you want to use a different card reader, you can use a different card reader, and it will always be secure. And that's where we have our, as we say, the more traditional approach, the panel. So the old access control panel. This is our door controller DCM 300 series. So we've got different options available. If you want to have long range serial, you can have Ethernet. All of our system runs off Ethernet. And as well, it's a PoE Plus option as well. So you can have power directly through the network. It'll also have a large offline database. It won't matter which reader you're using, we'll still have the offline database. So if your door controller is offline because the network cable or serial cable has been cut, cars will still gain access through the NPR system because we've stored their number plates securely in the database of the controller, so it can operate offline. We also have a 4-door controller as well, so we can do multiple different readers all through one controller. It's highly encrypted. It can be used for multiple different things. We can use it for monitoring inputs and outputs from different pieces of equipment. We can use it for managing lifts and security and lifts, all the way down to lift destination to see where people want to gain access to. One of the key things you'll see as well, just with the information on screen, is the security element of it. We can also link different door controllers together because as an onboard switch, we'll also save IT costs. So if you don't have to put new network points in just for deploying a new door controller. And the big differential of this one is it's got a PoE plus power supply, which is PoE Ultra. So this will be able to power all 4 doors through a single network cable if supported as well. We've integrated with a lot of different systems. So with the door controller, we've shown that we have long range readers for vehicles, we have ANPR, we have different biometrics, other third-party readers. And what we've seen in healthcare and a lot of different sites is the introduction of wireless locks. So they can be for store cupboards. And again, we've worked with ASSA ABLOY and the Aperio integration. And what we've done is we've shared our encryption keys, so the secure number will be read of the card. It means it can't be copied or cloned, and anyone can gain access to any cupboard and take pretty expensive equipment. We work with the little hub on screen. So again, this is powered by a PoE, no need for any fuse spur, and it's fully encrypted end to end. So even though the lock is wireless, it uses a very special wireless signal in order to communicate. It's not the standard Wi-Fi that you can browse onto in your phone and do anything with. It's a hidden, secure communication line between the locks and the hub. And this talks directly to our server over IP. You don't need any additional door controllers for this. You just plug the hub in, deploy a wireless lock, and it'll talk directly to our server. Some of the great benefits of this is, depending which door you have, if you don't want to have a traditional access control door with a reader and a controller, what you can do is you can just simply change the handle sets on the doors. The example we have here is the H100. You just simply take the handle off, put a new spindle in, put a new handle in, and the card reader is built into the handle. There are other options available as well. So if you want to remove the entire escutcheon, you want to have a high security deadbolt, if you just want to change the cylinder, or even what we have is the swing handle for IT data center cabinets as well. And this is what we've deployed in our some of the data centers that we have. So we can manage access all the way through from getting onto site, going through security, all the way through the different man traps into data halls and all the way down to the cabinets. It can even be just for a standard server rack that's within an IT room. It can give you that additional security and real-time information as well. So as you swipe on any of these doors, the transactions will appear back in real time. CM was one of the first to market with a portable handheld card reader, and it's taken on its next evolution. So this is our S3050 portable handheld card reader. Initially, the concept was in aviation, where they wanted to see which staff were airside and if they were actually allowed to be airside. So we come up with a portable handheld reader that would perform those checks. It's taken on many different forms over the years, and now it's based on a touch screen like everything else. So what we can do is we can check different cards in certain areas within the campus or the trust. It can have a large database to store those cardholder records. And it'll also give you different modes of operation as well. So we can do just a normal roaming check to verify card details. If you want to limit the number of people in an area, we can set it into an occupancy check. And once that limit has been reached, the person holding the reader will be able to say no more people are allowed in. And it can be also used for muster evacuation. So there's some sites that we have where, especially in the London space, they're in office blocks, and their emergency evacuation is normally a car park further down the road. So what we do is we take the portable reader off with the latest information stored on it. And then what we can do is we can actually check to make sure that whenever we're doing the fire roll call, everyone is where they're supposed to be. Big benefits of this is it'll give you a real-time exception report. You're not just actually printing off a list of people who were in the area and then checking to see are they there, and then you have to look and see, well, who wasn't ticked, who's not here. With this portable reader, it'll actually give you a real-time update to say which people are unaccounted for. And at some of the sites we've done, they've dramatically lowered their muster times by up to 80%. So they have, by using our portable handheld reader. So where we have all our hardware with all the different features, it's not really much good without strong software to back it up. We have our software for many different functions, but one of the key features we'll see is the Security Hub platform that I've mentioned through some of the different hardware slides. And with this, it actually takes all of our alarm information, our transaction information, and it'll process these in real time. It'll link with other third-party systems. So for example, we can integrate real time with different video systems. So you get real-time video. This can be for monitoring different areas. It can be linking it to an event as it happened. You can have different perimeter detection systems. You can have intrusion systems. You can have fire systems fully integrated as well. And then we've also taken it a step further by having it on some of our smart applications. So we can have it through guard tours. So if you want to perform a guard tour on the system, we can record that in real time. If you want to put a trace on somebody for security reasons, we can do that and monitor them as they progress through the different campus. And we can also then see the availability of rooms through room booking. We can see which first responders are in each different map layer or different floor. And then we can also have it integrate in intelligent ways with other third-party systems as well. As I said, the CCTV. So just looking at the way it's laid out, we've got a graphical map interface, and this will be not just for one site, one hospital. It could be trust-wide through the entire trust. It could be if you've multiple different remote sites where you're monitoring as well, and each of the alarms can be processed in different areas, and you'll get real-time notifications, real-time updates as the events happen. We can go down into different layers through the zones. So you can go down into a particular zone, particular map level, and even through floor level as well. And we can actually plot the different devices on. And as I said before, it's not just our access devices. It can be fire, CCTV cameras, intrusion detection systems. We will have all of these events come through a single platform. We can also have intelligent workflows available as well. So if an event happens, rather than just clearing the alarm or the event, we can say to the operators, okay, well, if this event happens, you can review the CCTV footage. You can then move on and send someone out to investigate if it's been a door forced alarm, for example, to make sure the door is still operational. And then you'll be able to get that information back on the system. But while the operators are doing this, they'll be able to see the real-time CCTV footage if it's got that integrated into our system. So there's two different methods. We can have different cameras on a video wall, essentially showing CCTV feeds in real time, or we can link these through Security Hub to the actual event. So as this event had taken place, we can view the live CCTV footage, and if it's a PTZ camera, we can actually control the camera to move about. We can zoom in, pan around. And we also get the alarm footage that's been recorded at the time of the event. And then with this, you have full playback control, so you can pause, rewind, you can take screenshots, you can save the video, and you can pull back that information, all tying up the case essentially for that particular alarm event as it happened. This will then come back into the reporting tools that are built within Security Hub. So as that alarm has happened, we can have all the workflow, all the information appear in real time on the screen. And then as we save and acknowledge the alarm, it'll be stored in the database. And what we can do is we can actually run different reports to pull back that information to see what actions were taken, what images there were, link them to the actual report, and then associate that with the recorded CCTV footage as well. So all of that information can be fully brought out of the system. It's not just an alarm happens, we'll clear it, that's okay, everything's fine. It's all about bringing back that information, should something serious happen. Other pieces of software we have is Time Hub, which was linked into our time and attendance software. So this can be just through our standard readers. If you want to use a normal card reader on a door controller, we can take that as an in-swipe if it's on a turnstile, for example, or you can use it through the Emerald with its enhanced time and attendance mode, even with the different options available on screen. With this, you can assign shift patterns to people. You can say if they're out of office, if they're in a static shift Monday to Friday, if they're in a rolling shift 2 days on, 2 days off, whatever it may be, you can assign this in real time, either through the time and attendance Time Hub application or through the personnel application. So with this as well, we can have different reports because reports and information coming out of the system is key. And this can be then either extracted from the software and sent to a payroll system, or what we can do is you can come in through one of our interfaces, such as the API, and take the transaction information out in real time as well. We have a muster zone application as well as zone monitor, and what this will do is this will allow you to view in real time how many people are on site, how many people are in certain areas. If you want to have emergency reports for people evacuating, you can have those reports. And we can also then use with the Zone Monitor application the ability, as we said, to see which first responders are within the said area. So all of the software modules we have will perform different tasks, and we can actually checkpoint these as well. So for example, if you don't want operators seeing personal information due to GDPR, we can limit that and mask that so that can't be seen. And we can also limit different functionality available in the system as well. And all of this is fully customizable. If new doors or areas are added on the system, it's easily configured to do that. One of the features we have, especially in some of our high security sites, is what we call threat levels. So this is a feature that's built into our software and can be accessed from multiple different areas. So for example, if there is an imminent threat on the site, what we can do is we can actually change how people access different areas. So there's two ways of doing this. There can be, if you have a card and PIN reader, we can say, okay, if the threat has gone up to substantial, and you'll notice the threat level follow the UK threat level guidelines. If it goes up to substantial, we'll now require a PIN to be enabled and required for access into certain areas. And if you've some high security doors where you've got the biometric Emerald reader, for example, once it goes up to critical, we can then require card and biometric, or card and PIN and biometric as the system changes. So you can do this in another way, which is actually limiting people based on the different threat level they have associated with them. So for example, if I have a threat level where I can go through up to severe, that will allow me through any of the doors without any impedance, essentially. If, for example, another person has only up to moderate, if the threat level is set to substantial, they won't be able to go through, but I will. It's about restricting the flow of people to protect them and enhance the security of the system. How we can then view this information and activate it is through the AC2000 software. There's a dedicated application for this, and you'll see on screen we can even put in where you need to have 2 operators log in to verify it. You can enable it through a remote application on the Emerald terminal, or you can activate it through Security Hub as well, because we've got different applications built within the Security Hub suite. Some of the other features we have available in the system are going again beyond the realms of just normal security. What we've got here is our location services offering. So this is especially popular in healthcare for loss prevention. We've had it in some sites where we are using it for muster evacuation to see where people are, looking to see the occupancy and how efficient different buildings are, especially now during the pandemic. But key features for healthcare would be loss prevention by tracking valuable assets, and you can also use it for tracking people as well to view the occupancy of certain areas. So how this works is they would have a Bluetooth beacon which can be placed onto a piece of equipment, or it can be part of your tag that you hold your access control card in. There are other methods as well, such as soft beacons that you can have through your phones. There's a duress beacon, so if you're a lone worker, you can press that and it'll actually flash up that you're in distress. So once you place these beacons on different assets, they will then talk to BlueFi gateways, and these gateways will talk via Bluetooth, so you can actually process multiple different beacons at one time. It's extremely low energy, so the battery life of the beacons is really high. You're looking at about 4.5 years. And what these will do is these will talk to the gateways, and the information will be processed up into a cloud application that will give you real-time location of the said asset or person. It's been deployed in some facilities where they've had significant loss prevention. They've lost hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of equipment, and with this they've been able to track the equipment and see as it moves through the site. As it actually happens and processes past a certain area, alerts will be actually activated on the system. There is a map that we have here, just an example. It is actually a hospital, so this can be in a zone on one floor, or it can be through multiple different floors. And what we have here is, you just can see through the example on the screen, there's a key in the middle. So where the red 38 is, it'll show you that there are 24 patients in this area. There are 10 members of staff, and there are 4 contractors. And the reason why it's in red is it's because it's got its occupancy limit reached. So for example, it could be overcrowded with more patients than actually required, or for example, there's not enough staff in the area to support it. We can also then have it where if an asset's being tracked and it goes outside the boundary of the zone we're actually monitoring, an alert will actually be raised on the system to show you that the asset has been moved, and we can track it throughout the entire site as it moves. You can have this then for multiple different zones and see exactly where people are. So for example, if we want to evacuate due to the threat on the system, when we've activated our threat levels, if we want to see where somebody is, we can go into this system and see exactly on screen where they are, because we're doing Bluetooth locational services on them. And it's a very powerful tool, and it can be used for multiple different of functions as well. It's not just if we want to track assets, track people. It can be used for monitoring high power equipment such as HVAC, for air conditioning, extractor fans, for example. We can make sure that that equipment is behaving properly, and if it's about to fail, we can get advanced notifications that it's not operating normally as should due to the vibrations in the equipment. So this is taking it a step further, not just through your normal access. It'll also then be able to give us loss prevention and also tracking people for safety as well. One of the things I've noticed as well as we're going into different hospital campuses is how people log on to the IT equipment. And what we've done is we've worked with one of our partners, HID, to provide a two-factor authentication card. And this is how people will be able to securely log on to the system. I've seen some campuses where they've used, for example, a normal card and a normal card reader, which I know can be easily cloned. It's one of the demos I do where we can check the security of the cards. And whenever there's no additional layers of security being maintained to access vital records and access IT equipment, when that can be cloned, it's a serious threat. So how these cards work is it's mainly one for the IT teams. So they'll use digital certificates the same way you would securely log on to your banking website. And if you don't have a secure certificate, you won't be able to have access to it. So this can be used for multiple different purposes, especially in our remote working world. We can use it for VPN access to cloud applications. We can use it then for logging on to Windows, digitally signing emails or encrypting documents and digitally signing documents as well. But one of the key benefits is it's not a separate card. It's all through one card. So we've got one card for our access control, and we can have one card for accessing our IT equipment. And how you'll log on is the same way before. You have a little card reader in the desk. You tap your card in the desk and it'll log you into Windows, log you into your applications, but it's using encryption and secure certificates in order to verify you are who you say you are. That's all I have for now. If there's any questions, I'll hand back over to Jonathan.
One of the questions I had, hello David, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation, very comprehensive. One of the questions is how long did it take to develop the Emerald hardware and software?
It's something that we've sort of looked at, and we've always had traditional access control card readers, and it's something that our engineers have looked at for a while, and they've come to the concept of, well, if we've got phones to do different intelligent things, I think we could probably do this in an access control reader as well. So it's about the concept of how we would make this viable at the door. So it was developed over a number of years, and it's a mature product. It's not something that's just been brand new to the market. So it has been tried and tested, and it's evolved over the years. And what we've done is we've used it then, as you see, with the smart applications. It used to just be, we'll swipe the card, it'll show you a message saying it's valid or it's not valid, and we would have a few little features, and that would be it. But obviously, speaking with our customers and depending on the needs and the vertical markets we're involved in, it has evolved into its current form, and it hasn't stopped. There are more features actually on the way, and the beauty with it is it's just a firmware update. You don't have to buy a new Emerald terminal. We will be able to do this through a firmware update, so it'll give you a lot more flexibility. So if you do have different readers on site, if a new feature is available, you can simply redeploy that reader somewhere else and update the firmware on it to have that new feature.
Thank you. Many estates and facilities people would be wondering how complex or easy it is to actually install the various hardware, the readers, etc., and the software. And also, would that be done by a third party or would it be done by Tyco installers?
So we work with different partners. We've got basically a partner program that we work to, and that's through different system integrators. It wouldn't just be with Tyco ourselves that we do that. We're the manufacturer of the product. So we work with approved resellers and approved installers to actually deliver the solution. And that would be, they would consult with the trusts, the hospitals, the IT teams to see how they're going to deploy this. So our server is available in a virtual platform. Some of the biggest sites we have are fully virtualized. They can be a physical server that you can have in a server room. In terms of installing the equipment, it's extremely easy to do for our integration partners because they've been fully trained on how to do that. And one of the big things that I've been going through in the presentation is that it's PoE, so we don't have to have electrical contractors coming in, putting a new fuse spur in to have a new access control door controller put in. The IT team can have all that fully prepared and fully networked, and it can be simply drilled onto the wall and then plug it in via network cable, and you've got power to the device and a secure door.
Thank you. There's a question from Barry McAllister. How do the secure devices interact with a fire event? i.e. what provision is made to ensure that secured areas can be evacuated in the event of a fire?
It's a good question. So we have different methods for having, depending on the way your doors want to be. So we assist with fire evacuation. We'll straight away say we're an access control system. We're not a fire system. We're not a life safety system. However, what we do is we assist with the fire evacuation. So if a fire alarm is tripped, what will happen is we can get that alarm come through in our system. It'll show you on the software where it's happened, but we can also trigger different events to, for example, open the doors freely if they want to be in free access, or if it's a secure area you want to keep secure, we can actually have them feel secure as well. So if the power's dropped, they will still remain locked, but egress will still be available through mechanical means as well.
Thank you. So another question from Conleth Donaghy. He said, is there an option to use Bluetooth and an app on your phone instead of a card?
Yes, it's really taken off over the last number of years. So we have, again, working under NDA with our third-party suppliers of different card readers. So you can have a Bluetooth credential on your phone. We've multiple different vendors that will support that. And you've different functions available as well. It's not just where you would walk up to an area and it can be hands-free and the door will open. If you're walking down a corridor in a hospital, all the doors open, it's not really ideal. So we can use it similar to payment methods. So you can have your phone and you can tap onto the reader. Or some of the nice features we have is you could put your hand over the reader directly and it will communicate with the Bluetooth credential on your phone and open the door. Or what you can do is you can actually tap the phone in your pocket. So if your hands are busy holding other things, you can simply tap the phone in your pocket and it will open the door as well via Bluetooth. And these credentials can be used and distributed to not just staff, it can be used for visitors, contractors, different consultants as well.
Another topical question, given the pandemic, in a healthcare environment, where infection control is vital, is there a facial recognition option to open a door without swiping a card or using a fingerprint?
Yes, we work with other partners for this, but we also have one developed by Tyco called Insight. And what this is, it's an intelligent camera that will sit on the door. It can be then connected into our access control system. You can have it through an Emerald, for example, so you can have other intelligence with a bidirectional intercom. You can have it where you want to have face and card, or if you want to have purely free egress by facial recognition, we can do that as well. There's another company we've worked with who do facial recognition readers, and we've shared our credentials again for secure cards. So if you want to have the card secure and your face recognized as well. One of the slides we also had was there's a wave reader as well. So you can have biometrics where they're touch, you put your finger on them, or the other one is where you just simply wave your hand across the reader like this, and it can recognize up to 4 fingerprints and let you through. So it's a frictionless access control system. You just wave your hand through, or you can walk up and it'll recognize your face and let you through as well. All of these will then be recorded on the system also.
Thanks for that. Looking at the sort of range of functionality of the Emerald system and the number of options, can a user, say an NHS trust, decide what functionality they want, or is there a sort of standard package, and they add options? How does that work?
So the Emerald terminal it's a fixed unit, and all of the different features that we're showing are completely optional. They're not chargeable optional, they're not licensed, they're there as options on the system. So as you have an Emerald, what we can do is we can speak with you directly to see exactly what you're looking to do at the particular door. We can give examples, demonstrations of it. And then what you can do is you can say, well, okay, I'm going to have an Emerald for checking certifications of contractors and staff at this point. I'm then going to have it on some restroom doors for consultants and doctors in this area. And I'm going to have it for safety information on this area. And all you do is simply select the option through our software. And that's the beauty of us being able to develop our own hardware as well as our own software. It's completely in harmony, so it is.
Thanks, David. Presumably on a site where security is very important, you would have more than just the simple card recognition, because you talked a lot about cloning of cards, but what happens if somebody manages to find a card where only the card is required for access? Can they get into a building then?
So it's all really about, if you find a card, it doesn't matter how encrypted the card is, you can still use that card to gain access to the system. One of the big benefits of our system is that it's IP based. Everything's over the IT network. So whenever someone loses their card, if they say to the card issue office or pass office, whatever it may be, that I've lost my card, the second that someone puts that card is lost or stolen or missing, it will send an update, no matter how big the system is, directly out to all the readers. So it will stop functionality pretty much immediately in real time. So they're never going to be able to get through the door once that stop has been put on the system. It's then pretty easy for then someone to issue a new card. But even if the card's fully encrypted and it's card only, they'll still be able to gain access if that notification hasn't been placed in the system. But again, if we do have multi-factor, such as PIN or biometric in certain areas, especially for high security areas, then they'll have one factor, but they won't have the other.
Thanks. Have you found that with sort of NHS Acute Trust, for instance, that big worries about theft of either property? I mean, it might be things as simple as beds or trolleys, or access to data is a big reason for trusts wanting to specify a system like this.
Yeah, it's very, very common, John, and it's loss prevention, especially with the hospitals. You know, they've got extremely expensive equipment that sits freely, and unfortunately, a lot of people can gain access to the hospitals, not so much now during a pandemic, but they'll still be able to have access. They'll be able to walk into different areas. So where we've identified, essentially benefits to having a solution like this for NHS Trust would be loss prevention, not just for physical assets, but also data. So you've seen with some of the examples we have, especially at the end of the presentation, where we've looked at how we can track different equipment throughout the site, so it can't go walkabouts or go missing, and you're looking at hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of loss. And then also the data protection, so how you would access the equipment and access IT systems. It's not just a username and password or that unsecure card tap that makes me cringe every time I see it. So it's especially now where we're having encryption and everything. It's all about cybersecurity, and it's something that's never going to go away. It's only how we can make it easier for our customers to have a fully secure end-to-end system.
Another advantage, obviously, of the system is that it can be used for sort of staff attendance and to get a very accurate record of who's on site. Is that a feature that you're perceiving is popular with healthcare users?
Yeah, it's some hospital trusts wouldn't normally use the time and attendance. However, we've seen a great uptake whenever it comes to contractors. So not just for seeing that they've actually attended site, for example, you've been invoiced for it, but also making sure they have attended, they've attended for the set period of time, We can also then send that out to payroll or HR, for example. We can do that for staff to make sure that they've actually attended if you've got them on certain contracts, for example, but also the fact that we're actually registering them on site for emergency evacuation as well. We can also then use that initial swipe for triggering time and attendance to give them their access to sites. So for example, in some of our secure sites, by standard, you don't have access to any doors inside the building. The second you swipe on the door, it then gives you access to the rest of the site, the building. But it also records your time and attendance.
Presumably, this software and hardware is now available on a global basis.
Yes, it is. Yeah, we've sites all over the world, from as far as Vancouver in Canada all the way down to Auckland in New Zealand. So it's globally available. And one of the big features we also have is an enterprise offering. So we can link together essentially an unlimited number of servers, and they'll talk together towards each campus or each hospital. You know, if they're in a trust, there's some large sites we've done where they're over maybe a county, for example. And what they're doing is they have a single database where all the cardholder information comes in, and they've little small access control systems for redundancy as well, but also for full control. And we'll be able to pass that information out through all of them. And that will scale not just from a county, a local level, but it'll also be a global level as well. And we use the different time zones to have the information appear in real time in a centralized monitoring area.
You've obviously designed the system full of functionality and lots of features, but also I think you've stressed that it's user friendly. How easy is it for, say, a new trust and its staff to get their head around the functionality and get used to using the system?
User experience is everything. Developers always like to make something that they think is great, but whenever it comes to user functionality, if it's not functional, it's extremely difficult. So we work very closely with our developers to make sure that it's easy to use. You know, we're all about reducing the number of clicks to do an action. Our software is very intuitive. It's not difficult to use. You've through the screenshots you've probably seen, it's very friendly and easy to use, similar to Windows 10. You know, it's that simple imagery, you know, a clean interface. The background's available in a dark background. You know, if you're working in an environment you like having dark applications, or it can be in a light background as well. We also have worked with the help files as well. So for example, if you don't fill in a particular field which you've set as mandatory, we can request that's there, and it'll actually tell you which field's not there. And there's fully embedded help files as well. And one of the big things we have is we have a dedicated training department, so we can do online training. We can do one-to-one training as well, hopefully pretty soon. And we've also got different classrooms available to show you how to use the system.
Where do you see other access control developments going in the future? Are there particular areas where you think it's going to develop further?
That's a good question. We've seen the take up, and one of the good questions we had earlier from Colin, I think it was about the Bluetooth credentials. You know, that come out and it was sort of, it's a bit gimmicky. People have their phone, but it started to gain traction, and especially now with the pandemic, we've had people come to us and saying, "Well, we're using our biometric sensor, but we'd like something frictionless that we don't have to clean every so often." So, you know, frictionless access is becoming more and more popular as well. The big emphasis will always be on security and encryption. You know, cyber security now, and the number of threats you see in the news, it just continuously never stops. So we're always about having the latest encryption techniques, making sure everything's secure. You know, we're part of our cyber protection program within Tyco, and everything has to pass through rigorous standards before it's released. It's not just we'll release it, then we'll test it. If it's there's some sort of vulnerability within Windows which may influence a release, we will stop that. So I see everything going along the lines of security. You've seen with some of the other systems we have that we've integrated to, such as the two-factor card for logging on to Windows. You know, it's that integration into IT security as well. You know, having one credential for everything. And I see that as being ease of access. It used to be where you had to put the card into a reader and type in a PIN. Now it's contactless, where you simply badge onto a reader. So everything become convenience. I think we see the mobile phone take off a bit as well, with Bluetooth credentials, where we'll be able to track people just through their mobile phone for occupancy, attendance, for example. It'll take off like that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Have you seen a particular preponderance towards a particular area of healthcare where this sort of access control system is used and popular? Would it tend to be a sort of most large acute trust with a multi-building, multi-site estate, or has it gone into primary care and mental health care facilities as well?
So we do have a lot of different facilities along the mental health care route. So if I cover that first, one of the big benefits that we have there is the ability to provide anti-ligature readers. That's one of the main requirements that comes out of those. How secure are the readers? Are they anti-ligature, where people can't try and harm themselves on the readers? So we've options available for that. In terms of the way it's deployed in different campuses, I would see loss prevention is obviously a big thing, and unfortunately, the way hospital campuses are, they're open facilities. So as a patient, I can go through and access quite a large number of areas. So it's how we stop them going beyond the boundaries. So for example, if I've got a secure area I don't want someone to enter, such as the labs, for example, I want to ensure I have the appropriate measures in place to make sure those areas are secure and have staff only access those. So whether it's the door closing in a certain period of time, whether we've got different man traps, for example, as well. So if you do pass through one door, there's another door that's secure as well, so you can't pass through that if you've tailgated through, for example. So we've different methods in place for that. But loss prevention is definitely up there, right amongst them. So we try and make sure that we have, not just through our third-party integrations, but from using our intelligent access solutions to notify people if something's gone missing, and provide a way, even through the intercom system that we've integrated into the Emerald, of talking back to someone in real time to tell them something's gone missing, review the CCTV footage. They can look in real time at the Security Hub platform, pull up the CCTV, see what people have been in the area, and trace back the steps to see exactly what's happened.
Thank you very much. I think that's probably all the questions we have. I thought that was an absolutely superb presentation. Thank you very much, David. You explained it in very concisely, and there's a great deal of functionality to cover. I think all attendees will have found it very interesting, and there will, of course, be a recording available of the webinar after this. Unless you have any other comments, David, I think that's the end of this webinar presentation. I'd like to thank you very much for presenting on behalf of CEM Systems, and I'd also like to thank all attendees for their audience and listening today, and for some good questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Thanks everyone for attending.